I hid my paycheck in a place he'd never think to look, right under his own signature. The night his fist came down because I refused to hand over my debit card, I understood. This wasn't about family anymore. It was evidence. He thought I was weak because I was quiet, thought I was poor because I saved. Wrong on both counts. Give me the money, or get out of my house. Fine. I'd take the proof with me. Have you ever hidden a secret in plain sight, where everyone could see it? My name is Olivia Hart, and I've been saving every extra penny for 3 years. $42,800 sits in my account. Not enough for the house I dream of, but close. Close enough that I can taste the freedom of my own front door, my own walls, my own silence. Tonight, that dream nearly died over a piece of plastic. I'd just finished back-to-back shifts at Northridge Children's Clinic, 16 hours of crying babies and worried parents. My scrubs still smelled like antiseptic and formula when I walked through Mom's front door, Walter's front door, as he loved to remind us, at 7 a.m. Where's your paycheck? Walter sat at the kitchen table, coffee mug in one hand, my mail in the other. He'd opened my pay stub, again. Direct deposit, I said, heading for the stairs. Like always. Sit down. Mom stood by the stove, stirring oatmeal with mechanical precision. She didn't look up. I sat. From now on, Walter said, sliding a yellow notepad across the table. You write your debit card number and PIN here. Men handle the money in this house. The laugh escaped before I could stop it. You're joking. His face darkened. Do I look like I'm joking? You live under my roof. You follow my rules. I pay rent, $800 a month, remember? Barely covers utilities. He leaned back, gut straining against his Broncos jersey. Your mother agrees. Family finances should be unified. I looked at Mom. She stirred faster. No, I said. The mug slammed down. Coffee sloshed across the table. What did you say? I said no. My money, my account, my business. He stood so fast the chair toppled backward. You ungrateful little... Walter, Mom's voice cracked. Stay out of this. Carol, he rounded the table. This one thinks she's too good for us. Too smart. Well, let me explain something. Miss Night Shift. Don't... I stood too, exhaustion making me brave, or stupid. Just don't. His hand moved faster than I expected. The slap snapped my head sideways, sent my phone flying from my pocket. It landed in the sink with a splash. The kitchen went silent except for the bubbling oatmeal. I touched my cheek. Hot, stinging, evidence. Get your card, he said quietly. Now. Or what? Blood roared in my ears. You'll hit me again? In front of my mother? I'll do whatever it takes to maintain order in my house. Your house? I laughed again, harsh and bitter. Built on whose credit? Whose mother's inheritance? The second hit came as a closed fist to my shoulder. I stumbled, caught myself on the counter. Walter, please! Mom finally moved, but he shoved her back. Card? PIN? Now. I straightened slowly, memorizing every detail, the coffee stains spreading across his shirt, the sweat beading on his forehead, the way his hands shook. Not from anger, from need. I'd seen that shake before, at the casino parking lot when he thought no one was watching. You're in trouble, I said. How much do you owe? His face went purple. You don't know anything. I know you're desperate enough to hit me for a debit card. I backed toward the door. I know you opened my mail, which is a federal offense, and I know my money isn't where you think it is. Get back here! But I was already moving, snatching my drowned phone from the sink. My shoulders screamed as I ran upstairs, locked my bedroom door. In the bathroom mirror, the bruise was already forming. I took photos with my old tablet, uploaded them to a hidden cloud folder labeled Tax Documents 2019. Then I sat on the bathroom floor and made a decision. No more playing the good daughter, no more keeping peace. If Walter wanted my money, he'd have to go through the law to get it, and I'd make sure the law saw everything, his debts, his violence, and whatever else he was hiding. I opened my laptop and started typing. Email to self, document everything, file report, contact lawyer, move accounts. Then, at the bottom, make him pay. Because Walter Pike had no idea what I'd really been saving for. Not just a house. Evidence. The truth about my money was both simpler and more complex than Walter could imagine. It wasn't hidden under a mattress or in some safety deposit box. It was protected by something far more powerful. Bureaucracy and his own ignorance. 3 years ago, when I first started planning my escape, I knew Walter monitored Mom's bank statements. He'd helped her switch to online banking, memorized her passwords, checked every transaction. So I got creative. At Mariner Federal Credit Union, I'd opened what they called a split deposit custodial account, completely legal, completely invisible. My employer's payroll system divided my check. $400 went to my regular checking that Walter knew about, just enough to cover my rent and make me look broke. The other $3,200 monthly went straight into a sub-account that didn't appear on regular statements. Smart girls stay broke. I'd told the banker, a woman who'd seen enough to understand. She'd helped me set up extra security, verbal passwords, restricted access, alerts for any inquiry. But the real genius wasn't the hidden account. It was the paper trail I'd been building. I pulled out a folder from behind my dresser, thick with documents. 6 months ago, drunk after a Broncos loss, Walter had signed a dozen papers I'd mixed into his gambling receipts. Harmless forms, a car wash loyalty program, a grocery store rewards card, a petition to fix the neighborhood park. Useless signatures, but authentic ones. His handwriting was distinctive. Heavy pressure, sharp angles, the W that looked like fangs. I'd scanned every one, built a digital library of Walter Pike's signature in various states of sobriety. Because I knew what was coming. The strange mail had started 2 months ago. Pre-approved credit offers addressed to Mom but using her maiden name. Then came the insurance quotes for properties she didn't own. Last week, a thank you for your inquiry letter from a home equity lender. Walter was shopping for loans against the house. I opened my laptop and logged into the county recorder's website. Property records were public, beautiful things. The deed still showed Mom and her late husband, my father, as joint owners. When Dad died, it should have passed entirely to her. Should have. But there it was, filed just 2 weeks ago. A quitclaim deed, adding Walter Pike as joint tenant with right of survivorship. Mom's signature looked perfect, too perfect. I compared it to her real signature on my birth certificate, close. But the A in Carol was wrong. Someone had practiced, gotten good, but not good enough. My phone buzzed. A new one I'd bought with cash on my lunch break. Mia. Texting from culinary school. Mom says Walter's acting weird. You okay? I replied, fine. Stay at school this weekend. Trust me. Then I called Mariner Federal. Hi, this is Olivia Hart. I need to report some concerns about potential identity theft. Can we schedule a fraud review for my accounts? And I'd like to add a verbal note to my file. The representative was professional, thorough. I gave her the code phrase we'd established. Checking on my rainy day fund. I see the note. Ms. Hart, what would you like to add? If anyone tries to access my accounts claiming to be my mother or stepfather, please document everything but don't deny them immediately. I'm building a case. Understood. We'll flag it for our security team. After hanging up, I opened a new browser window. The Colorado Attorney General's website had a whole section on elder financial abuse and deed fraud. I started reading, taking notes. Then I heard it. Footsteps on the stairs, heavy, angry. Olivia! Walter pounded on my door. Open up! We need to talk! I stayed silent, recording app running on my phone. I know you're in there. Your mother's crying. You happy? You made your mother cry. Classic Walter. Hit me, then blame me for the aftermath. I'll kick this door down. You little... I'm calling 911, I said clearly. Breaking and entering is a crime, even in your own house. The pounding stopped. I heard him breathing hard through the door. This isn't over, he said finally. You want to play games? Fine, but remember who pays for this roof over your head. His footsteps retreated. I waited 10 minutes, then sent an encrypted email to myself with photos of the bruises, the recorded audio, and screenshots of the fraudulent deed filing. Subject line: the house he claims to own. Because that was Walter's mistake. He thought my 40-2800 was the prize. He had no idea it was just bait. The real treasure was the evidence I'd been collecting, waiting for him to get desperate enough to reveal his hand. And now he had... Tomorrow, I'd visit the bank in person. I had a special withdrawal to make. Not money, but something far more valuable. Every forged signature left a trail. Every fraudulent document created evidence. Walter Pike wanted my money? He could have it. Right after the handcuffs clicked shut. The next morning, I called in sick to work. First time in 2 years. My supervisor heard something in my voice. Didn't push. Nurses knew the signs. My first stop was the courthouse. The clerk at the recorder's office was helpful once I explained I was checking on my mother's property. Just want to make sure everything's in order, I said, sliding my ID across the counter. 20 minutes later, I had certified copies of everything: the original deed, the probate documents from Dad's death, and the new quitclaim deed. The forgery was even more obvious on the official copy. Mom's supposed signature looked like someone tracing over a template. But the real discovery was the HELOC, home equity line of credit, filed just 3 days ago, $180,000 against Mom's house, approved by Fast Cash Equity Solutions, one of those predatory lenders that advertised on late-night TV. The signature page made my stomach turn. 2 names, Carol Hart and Walter Pike, and the witness? Bradley Turpin, Walter's drinking buddy who'd lost his contractor's license for fraud. I photographed everything with my phone, then bought official copies, $240 in fees, but worth every penny. My next stop was Rachel's apartment. My coworker's husband, Marcus, was a paralegal at a small firm, not a lawyer yet, but he knew the system. Jesus, Olivia! Marcus spread the documents across his kitchen table. This is textbook elder financial abuse, and deed fraud, and wire fraud if they used electronic signatures. Can you check if the HELOC money's been dispersed? He made some calls. Professional courtesy got us answers. $50,000 already withdrawn. Cash advances at 3 different casinos over the past 72 hours. Your stepfather has a problem, Marcus said. Several, I agreed. What do I do now? First, file a police report. Today, then get a restraining order. You said he hit you? I showed him the photos. His expression darkened. Criminal assault, domestic violence. This is bigger than money. Olivia, you need protection first. Then we go after the fraud. He gave me forms, coached me through what to say. By 3 p.m., I was at the Riverbend Police Department, talking to Detective Sarah Chen, a tired-looking woman who'd seen too much but still cared. The Financial Crimes Unit will want this, she said after reviewing my evidence. But let's start with the immediate threat. You still living there? For now, my mom is an adult who's choosing him over your safety. Her tone was gentle but firm. You can't save someone who won't save themselves, but you can protect your future. She took my statement, photographed my bruises again, and started the restraining order paperwork. Emergency order first. Hearing within 2 weeks. What about the house? I asked. Fraudulent deeds can be reversed, but it's a process. The HELOC is trickier. If the lender was negligent in verification, they might have to eat the loss, but that's civil court. The criminal charges are what'll stop him fastest. As I left the station, my phone rang. Mom. Olivia, honey, please come home. Walter's sorry. He's just stressed about money. He stole your house, Mom. Silence. What are you talking about? Check the county records. He filed a fake deed. Took out a $180,000 loan. He's already gambled away $50,000. That's impossible. I would have signed... Did you sign anything recently? Maybe when you were tired? Or he said it was for insurance? The silence stretched longer this time. Oh my God, she whispered. Last month, He said it was refinancing for a better rate. I didn't read. Oh my God. Olivia. I'm handling it, I said. But Mom, I can't come home. There's going to be a restraining order. When the police serve it, he can't be within 100 feet of me. But this is his house. No, I said firmly. It's yours, and I'm going to prove it. That evening, I sat in my car outside Mariner Federal, reviewing my notes. Tomorrow. I'd set the trap, make Walter think he'd won, that I was ready to surrender my savings, let him get greedy, sloppy, overconfident. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You think you're smart? Your mom's credit is ruined. Stop now or I'll max out every card she has. I smiled grimly and screenshotted the threat. More evidence. Walter had no idea what was coming. He thought this was about control, about breaking me down like he'd broken Mom. But I wasn't broken. I was building a case. And every move he made just added another bar to his future cage. Thursday morning, I made the call that would change everything. Mom? I kept my voice small, defeated. I've been thinking, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm being selfish. She exhaled shakily. Oh, honey, I knew you'd come around. Walter isn't bad. He just has a lot of pressure, I finished. I know. Look, I want to help. I have about 20,000 saved, if it'll help with whatever he needs. Olivia, really? Hope crept into her voice. That would mean so much. He's been so worried. Can we meet at the bank tomorrow? 4 o'clock. I want to do this right. Make it official. A family contribution. Of course. Oh, Walter will be so relieved. He really does care about us. You know. I bit my tongue. I'm sure. Mariner Federal. The main branch on Riverside. Bring him too. We should all be there. After hanging up, I made 3 more calls. First, Detective Chen. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. He'll attempt to coerce me into withdrawing money, probably try to forge documents. We'll have unmarked units nearby, she promised. Don't put yourself at risk. Second, Mariner Federal's Fraud Department. I spoke with Janet Morrison, the fraud prevention manager who'd been briefed on my situation. We'll be ready, Janet assured me. Camera angles checked, staff briefed. If he tries anything, we'll document every second. Third, a private investigator Marcus had recommended, Tom Rodriguez, former banking security, now specializing in financial crimes. 500 for the afternoon? He confirmed. I'll be in the lobby with a concealed camera. Another operative outside. We'll get everything. That evening, I stayed at a motel, paying cash. The restraining order was still processing, but Walter didn't know that. Let him think I was hiding at a friend's place, scared and beaten down. I spent the night preparing, printed copies of every document, USB drives with video evidence, a script of what I planned to say, key phrases that would trigger Walter's temper in front of witnesses. Friday arrived gray and drizzling, perfect weather for a trap. I arrived at the bank early, met with Janet in her office. Your stepfather's already called 3 times, she said, asking about large cash withdrawal policies, if he could be added as a joint account holder for family emergency purposes. What did you tell him? That all changes require the account holder's presence and multiple forms of ID. He wasn't happy. At 3:45, I positioned myself at a corner table in the bank's lobby, visible from the street. My phone recorded from my pocket. Tom Rodriguez sat nearby, reading a newspaper. Briefcase camera aimed at my table. They arrived at 3:58. Walter strutted in like he owned the place, Mom trailing behind. He'd dressed up, polo shirt, khakis, trying to look respectable, but I could see the sweat stains, the tremor in his hands. Olivia, he smiled, all teeth. Your mother says you want to help the family. I'm proud of you. Hi, Walter? I kept my voice neutral. I thought we should make this official. No misunderstandings. His eyes sharpened. What kind of official? Well, it's a lot of money. I want documentation that it's a loan, not a gift. Terms, interest rate, repayment schedule. We're family, he said, sitting too close. We don't need contracts between family. Maybe not, but the IRS does. Anything over $15,000 needs proper documentation, or I'll get hit with gift taxes. His face reddened. Don't get technical with me, little girl. I'm trying to help, I said, but I need to protect myself too. My credit, my taxes. Your credit? He laughed harshly. You think you're some big shot because you save a few pennies? That money should have been contributing to this household all along. Walter, Mom whispered, please. No, Carol, she needs to learn respect. He leaned in. You're going to withdraw that money, cash, and hand it over. No contracts, no bullshit. Or what? I asked quietly. Or I'll make your life hell. Think that bruise hurt? Miss Pike? We all turned. A bank security guard stood nearby, hand resting on his radio. Is there a problem here? No problem, Walter said through gritted teeth. Just a family discussion. Pretty loud discussion, the guard noted. Ma'am, are you all right? I looked at Mom, then Walter, then back at the guard. Actually, I'd like to speak with a manager about a withdrawal. Alone. Walter's hand shot out, gripped my wrist. We're doing this together. Perfect. Let go, I said clearly. Not until you stop playing games. Sir, remove your hand immediately. The guard stepped closer. Walter squeezed harder. I didn't fight. Just let him display his control for everyone to see. Tom Rodriguez had shifted position, getting a better angle. Two tellers watched from behind bulletproof glass. She's my stepdaughter, Walter snarled. This is family business. Sir, I won't ask again. Finally, Walter released me. Red marks circled my wrist. More evidence. 20,000, he hissed. Cash, now. I stood slowly, rubbing my wrist. No. The word hit him like a slap. His face purpled, veins bulging. What did you say? I said no. My money stays where it is, and you're going to jail. The trap was set. Now to spring it. Walter's face contorted with rage. But he caught himself. Glancing at the security guard, he forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Let's be reasonable, he said, pulling out a folder. I brought paperwork. All you need to do is sign. He slid documents across the table, pre-filled withdrawal forms, a power of attorney, even a change of beneficiary form, everything already completed in his handwriting, just waiting for my signature. You filled these out for me? I asked innocently, loud enough for the nearby tellers to hear. To save time, he said. Just sign on the lines. I picked up the power of attorney, studied it. This gives you full access to all my accounts. For emergencies, families should be able to help each other. But you already filled in your name as the attorney in fact, and dated it yesterday? His jaw tightened. Stop stalling. I'm not comfortable signing something I didn't fill out myself, I said. Can I have blank forms? Just sign the damn papers. He slammed his hand on the table. The security guard moved closer. Sir, I need you to lower your voice. Maybe I should fill them out myself, I continued. Could you show me how you want your name spelled? For accuracy? I pushed a blank deposit slip toward him with a pen. Just write your name here, so I can copy it exactly. Walter grabbed the pen, scrawled his name angrily. The same distinctive W, the same heavy pressure. He didn't realize he'd just provided a fresh handwriting sample. Now, he growled, shoving the forms back at me. Sign? I picked up the pen, hovered over the signature line. Actually, I should probably read these first. Sign the fucking papers! His roar echoed through the bank. Every head turned. The security guard reached for his radio. I need backup in the main lobby, he said quietly. You stupid little bitch, Walter continued, standing now. You think you can play games with me? I own you. I own that house. I own your mother. No, I said calmly. You stole from her. The HELOC, Walter, the forged deed. His face went white, then red again. You don't know what you're talking about. Bradley Turpin witnessed it, right? Your drinking buddy? The one who lost his contractor's license? Mom gasped. Walter, what is she talking about? Shut up, Carol. He didn't even look at her. This one's trying to cause trouble, like always. Janet Morrison appeared, flanked by 2 more security guards. Is there a problem here? Yes, I said. This man is attempting to coerce me into withdrawing money. He filled out these forms himself and is demanding I sign them. Janet examined the documents, her expression professionally neutral. Sir, did you complete these forms? She asked me to, Walter lied. She called me here. That's not what I heard, the first guard said. I heard you demanding she sign papers you'd already filled out. And I have him on recording saying he owns me, I added, pulling out my phone, along with threats from earlier this week. This is entrapment, Walter shouted. You set me up. Sir, Janet said firmly, I'm going to need you to come to my office while we sort this out. I'm not going anywhere until I get what I'm owed. You're owed nothing, I said. But the casino owes you, doesn't it? $50,000 from Mom's house already gone? Walter lunged across the table. The security guards caught him, but not before he knocked over the chair, scattering papers everywhere. Get off me! He struggled against their grip. That's my money, my house, my family. 2 uniformed police officers entered the bank, hands on their service weapons. Detective Chen followed, badge visible. Walter Pike, she said. We need to talk about some fraudulent documents filed with the county recorder. He went still. I want a lawyer. That's your right. But first, you're being detained for attempted assault and disorderly conduct. She nodded to the officers. Cuff him. As the metal clicked around his wrists, Walter's mask finally slipped completely. You vindictive little cunt, he snarled at me. You planned this, the whole thing. Yes, I said simply. I did. Mom stood frozen, watching her husband being arrested in a bank lobby full of witnesses. Tears streamed down her face. The house, Mom, I said gently. We'll get it back. The fraud investigator has everything. The forged signatures, the fake witness. It's all documented. I trusted him, she whispered. I know, but now we have proof, and he can't hurt either of us anymore. As the officers led Walter out, he turned back one last time. This isn't over. Actually, Detective Chen said, it is. We executed a search warrant an hour ago, found some very interesting documents on your computer, including practice signatures and loan applications in multiple names. The door swung shut behind them. The bank lobby slowly returned to normal, customers pretending they hadn't just witnessed a family implode. Janet touched my shoulder. Are you all right? Better than I've been in years, I said. And it was true. The trap had worked perfectly. Every threat, every grab, every forged document, all captured on multiple cameras, witnessed by professionals. My money was safe. More importantly, the evidence was secured. Walter Pike had played himself. The real earthquake hit when Detective Sarah Reeves opened the evidence boxes at the precinct. I sat with Mom in a small conference room, watching her world crumble one document at a time. This is your signature? Detective Reeves showed Mom the HELOC application. Mom shook her head, hands trembling. It looks like mine, but I never signed this. We know. Our forensics team compared it to known samples. The pressure points are wrong. The letter spacing is off. Someone practiced. But signatures are like fingerprints, almost impossible to perfectly replicate. The detective spread out more papers, printed emails between Walter and Bradley Turpin, planning the fraud, screenshots of Walter's browser history, how to forge signatures, HELOC without spouse knowing, gambling debt solutions. This one's interesting. Detective Reeves tapped a printout. A loan application for another $200,000. Hadn't filed it yet. Looks like you stopped him just in time. But the most damning evidence came from the bank's IT department. Janet Morrison joined us, laptop in hand. When someone applies for a HELOC online, our system logs everything, she explained. IP addresses, MAC addresses, timestamps. This application? She pointed to the screen. Submitted from a computer at your house at 3:47 a.m., when your mother was working night shift. I was at the hospital, Mom confirmed weakly. I always work Tuesday nights. The MAC address matches a laptop registered to Walter Pike, Janet continued. Purchased 6 months ago. Same laptop used to research your mother's maiden name, her previous addresses, even her first pet. Security questions for the credit check. Tom Rodriguez knocked and entered, carrying a manila envelope. The private investigator I'd hired looked grimly satisfied. Pulled these from public records and social media, he said, spreading photos across the table. Walter Pike at River's Edge Casino, time-stamped photos from their security feeds, cross-referenced with the HELOC disbursements. The images showed Walter at high-stakes poker tables, stacks of chips in front of him, celebrating with Bradley Turpin, arguing with casino security. One photo caught him mid-rage, finger pointing at a dealer. Lifetime losses of approximately $400,000 over 8 years, Tom said. He's been chasing that debt, using your mother as collateral. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. I reached for her hand. There's more, Detective Reeves said gently. We found 6 credit cards opened in your name. Carol, maxed out, total debt of $73,000. No, Mom whispered. No, that's not possible. When did you last check your credit report? Walter handles all the finances. He said it was easier, that I worked too much to worry about it. The detective's expression was sympathetic but firm. Financial abuse often starts with isolation from monetary decisions. He systematically cut you off from your own financial life. Janet pulled up another screen. The good news is, with fraud proven, the bank will work with you, the HELOC will be voided, the title company's insurance will cover their losses, the credit cards will be investigated and likely written off as fraud. What about the house? I asked. The fraudulent deed will be reversed. Court order should come through within 2 weeks. Your mother will have sole ownership again, as it should be. Mom finally broke down, sobbing into her hands. 18 years. 18 years I trusted him. Con artists are good at what they do, Detective Reeves said. Don't blame yourself. My phone buzzed. Mia texting. Heard about Walter? Mom okay? I showed Mom the message. She wiped her eyes, tried to compose herself. Tell her I'm fine, she said. Tell her to stay at school, focus on her finals. As I typed the response, Detective Reeves gathered the evidence back into boxes. Walter's being held without bail, flight risk due to the gambling debts. The DA is charging him with identity theft, fraud over $100,000, forgery, and elderly financial abuse. I'm only 54, Mom said weakly. In Colorado, financial abuse laws kick in at 50. He's looking at 15 to 20 years if convicted, more if we find other victims. Other victims? His first wife filed a report similar to this 12 years ago, dropped the charges after their divorce. We're reopening that case. I felt a grim satisfaction. Walter had done this before, would have kept doing it. What happens now? Mom asked. Now we build the case. You'll both need to testify, but with this much evidence? The detective gestured at the boxes. His lawyer will probably push for a plea deal. As we prepared to leave, I remembered something. The threatening text, I said, pulling out my phone. He said he'd ruin Mom's credit if I didn't stop. Detective Reeves examined it, smiled grimly. Consciousness of guilt. He knew what he'd done was criminal. Add witness intimidation to the charges. Outside the precinct, Mom stood in the afternoon sun, looking lost. Where do I go? She asked. That house. I can't go back there. My apartment, I said. I've been looking at rentals near the hospital anyway. We'll figure it out. She nodded, then pulled me into a fierce hug. You saved me, she whispered. I was too blind to see it, but you saved me. I held her tight, thinking about the months of planning, the careful documentation, the calculated risks. We saved each other, I said, because that's what family really meant. Not control, not ownership, not signatures on a deed. Protection, truth, and sometimes the courage to set a trap for the monster in your own home. The restraining order hearing was set for Monday morning, the fastest I'd ever seen the court move. Walter appeared via video link from county jail, orange jumpsuit replacing his usual Broncos jersey. Judge Patricia Hoffman reviewed the evidence with sharp eyes. A former prosecutor, she'd seen every type of domestic abuse. "Mr. Pike," she began, "you're accused of physical assault, financial fraud exceeding $180,000, identity theft, and witness intimidation. Your attorney is requesting modification of the temporary restraining order. On what grounds?" Walter's public defender, a tired-looking man named Brennan, cleared his throat. "Your Honor, my client maintains these are family financial matters that should be handled in civil court. The restraining order prevents him from accessing his legal residence." "The residence he fraudulently added himself to via forged documents?" Judge Hoffman interrupted. "Allegedly forged," Brennan corrected weakly. "I've reviewed the forensic handwriting analysis," the judge said. "Would you like to explain how Mrs. Hart's signature appeared on documents while she was clocked in at Riverbend General Hospital?" Silence from the defense table. My attorney, Lisa Chen, a former classmate of Marcus's wife, stood smoothly. "Your Honor, we'd like to submit additional evidence. Security footage from Mariner Federal Credit Union showing Mr. Pike attempting to coerce my client into signing blank financial documents." The bailiff delivered a tablet to the judge. We watched her expression harden as she viewed the footage. Walter grabbing my wrist, screaming at me to sign, lunging across the table. "Mr. Pike," Judge Hoffman said coldly, "do you have anything to say?" Walter leaned toward his camera. "That money is family money. I supported that household for years." "With whose income?" the judge asked. "I managed the finances." "By stealing from your wife and stepdaughter?" Walter's face reddened. "It's not stealing when it's family money." "Actually," Judge Hoffman said, "that's exactly what it is, especially when you forge documents to access it." She turned to more documents. "I see here that digital forensics found practice signatures on your computer. 67 attempts at recreating Carol Hart's signature. Would you call that a family financial matter?" Walter's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Walter shook his head violently. "She owes me," he burst out. 18 years I put up with her and her kids. 18 years of disrespect. That money is mine by rights." "Mr. Pike," his lawyer pleaded, "please." "No! That little bitch thinks she's so smart, hiding money from me. A man's supposed to control his household. These females need to learn their place." The courtroom went silent. Even on the grainy video feed, I could see Walter's lawyer close his eyes in defeat. Judge Hoffman's voice was arctic. "Thank you for that illuminating statement. Mr. Pike, it makes my decision much easier." She shuffled papers, began reading. "The court finds clear and convincing evidence of domestic violence, financial exploitation, and ongoing threat to the petitioners. The temporary restraining order is hereby extended for 5 years." "5 years?" Walter shouted. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "given evidence of financial crimes, this court orders immediate asset freeze on all accounts under Walter Pike's control. Any joint accounts will be separated, with full access restored to Carol Hart. This additionally includes," she read on, "prohibition from any property owned by Carol Hart, maintained at 500 feet distance from both petitioners, no contact direct or indirect, and surrender of any firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours. "Your Honor," Brennan tried, "the property issue is criminal fraud being addressed in separate proceedings. However, this court recognizes Carol Hart as sole legitimate owner of said property. Mr. Pike has no legal claim and no right of access." Walter exploded. "You can't do this! That's my house, my wife!" "Ex-wife, soon enough," Mom said quietly beside me. It was the first time she'd spoken in court. Judge Hoffman nodded. "Mrs. Hart, you have grounds for expedited divorce based on fraud and abuse. I'd pursue that quickly." "Already filed," Lisa confirmed. Emergency motion for sole possession of marital assets pending criminal trial. The judge smiled grimly. Good. Mr. Pike, you should know that violating this order is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Given your current charges, I'd think very carefully before attempting any contact. This is bullshit, Walter screamed. I'll get you for this. Olivia, you and your mother both. You think you've won? I know people. Judge Hoffman's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Mr. Pike, you just threatened the petitioners in open court. Bailiff, please note that for the criminal proceedings, bond revocation hearings should be scheduled immediately. The video feed cut as guards moved toward Walter. His last words were curses that echoed through the speakers. In the sudden quiet, Judge Hoffman looked at us with something like compassion. Ladies, you did the right thing. Too many victims never make it this far. She signed the order with decisive strokes. Mr. Pike is now legally barred from your lives. Use this time to rebuild. Outside the courthouse, Mom stood straighter than I'd seen in years. It's really over, she said wonderingly. The criminal trial's still coming, I reminded her. We'll have to testify. I know, but he can't hurt us anymore. Can't touch the house. Can't touch our money. Can't even call. Lisa handed us certified copies of the order. Keep these with you. If he violates even slightly, a text, a Facebook message, showing up at work, call 911 immediately. What about his things? Mom asked. His clothes? Tools? Hire movers, Lisa advised. Have police supervise. Don't give him any excuse to claim you withheld property. As we walked to the car, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then recognized the area code. The jail. It's a recorded line, Lisa said. If it's him, hang up and we add it to the charges. But it wasn't Walter. It was his lawyer. Ms. Hart? Mr. Brennan, I'm calling to inform you that my client is interested in a plea arrangement. Perhaps we could discuss terms that would avoid a lengthy trial? I looked at Mom, at the bruise still fading on my wrist, at the courthouse where Walter had just threatened us again. Tell your client, I said clearly, that the only deal I'm interested in is the one where he pleads guilty to every charge and saves us all the time. That would mean significant prison time. Good, I said, and hung up. Mom smiled, actually smiled. You know what? Let's get lunch. Somewhere nice. My treat. From my own account. As we drove away from the courthouse, I felt the knot in my chest finally loosen. The restraining order was just paper, but it represented something more. Freedom, safety, the legal system actually working. Walter Pike had gambled away everything. His marriage, his freedom, his future. And the house always wins. 3 weeks later, Walter made his final mistake. He'd convinced his sister to host a family reconciliation dinner at her house in Riverbend, claimed he wanted to apologize, make amends before the trial. His sister, naive about the full extent of his crimes, believed him. Mom wanted to go. Maybe he's really sorry, she said over breakfast. Maybe jail has changed him. I knew better, but I also knew an opportunity when I saw one. Fine, I said, but we're bringing backup. The dinner was set for Saturday, 6 p.m. I made 3 calls. Detective Reeves, who confirmed Walter was out on bail with an ankle monitor, our lawyer Lisa, who documented the invitation as potential violation of the restraining order, and Tom Rodriguez, who agreed to park outside with a camera. We arrived to find Walter already there, playing the reformed man. No Broncos jersey. He wore a button-down shirt, sleeves rolled up like a humble family man. His sister Patricia had prepared pot roast, trying to recreate some fantasy of normal family dinner. Carol, Olivia, Walter stood, hands spread peacefully. Thank you for coming. I know I don't deserve. Stop, I said. Just stop. What do you really want? His mask flickered. I want to make things right, before I go away. By violating the restraining order? This is Patricia's house, he said smoothly. The order says 500 feet from you. Not that we can't be in the same place if you choose to come. Technically true. Lisa had warned me about this loophole. So what's your play? I asked. Walter pulled out an envelope. I want to sign everything over. The house deed, any claim to assets, clean slate. All I ask is that you speak to the prosecutor, ask for leniency. Mom reached for the envelope. I stopped her hand. Let me see that first. The documents looked legitimate. Quitclaim deed removing him from any property rights, financial disclaimers, even a confession of sorts, admitting to poor judgment in financial matters. Too easy, too clean. That's when I noticed it. A small USB drive taped inside the envelope. What's this? I held it up. Walter's expression didn't change. Financial records, proof that I was paying household expenses. My lawyer said it might help with restitution calculations. I pocketed the USB. We'll have our attorney review everything. Of course, he smiled, all teeth. Patricia, could you get the dessert? I made Carol's favorite, chocolate cream pie. As his sister left the room, Walter leaned forward. That USB has every password, he said quietly, every account Carol doesn't know about, insurance policies, investments, even a small inheritance from her aunt that I've been managing. Bribing us? I asked. Negotiating, he corrected. There's $30,000 in accounts you'll never find without those passwords. All I want is a letter to the judge. Say I was stressed. Gambling addiction is a disease. Request treatment instead of prison. Mom gasped. You stole my Aunt Ruth's inheritance? Invested it, Walter said. It's all there, plus interest. Just need the passwords. I pulled out my phone, pretended to consider. Actually, I was texting Detective Reeves. He's attempting to bribe us, recording everything. Show us, I said. Log into one account, prove the money exists. Walter pulled out his phone eagerly, started typing. See? First National Bank. Account ending in 4791. Balance of $8,500. I filmed over his shoulder as he logged in. Got the account number, the bank name. Watched him prove the money was real. Evidence of more hidden assets, more fraud. And you'll give us all the passwords if we write a letter? Tonight, he promised. Before you leave. Patricia returned with pie. As she served, I excused myself to use the bathroom. In the hallway, I called Detective Reeves. Did you get my text? On our way, she said. Keep him talking. And Olivia, check that USB on your phone. Not a computer. Might be malware. Back at the table, Walter was spinning stories about rehabilitation, finding God in jail, wanting to make amends. Mom listened with tears in her eyes. I used my phone to examine the USB through a File Explorer app. Not financial records, a keylogger program. If we'd plugged it into a computer, it would have captured every password we typed. Bank accounts, email, everything. One last con. This is beautiful, I said, holding up the USB. Really clever. Walter's eyes glinted. The passwords will change your life. Oh, I'm sure they will, I smiled. Just not how you planned. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows. Walter's head snapped up. What did you do? Gave you enough rope, I said. You just hanged yourself with it. Detective Reeves entered with 2 uniformed officers. Walter Pike, you're under arrest for violation of a restraining order, attempted bribery, and conspiracy to commit cyber fraud. She came here willingly, Walter shouted. To a family member's home, yes, but offering bribes to influence testimony? Attempting to install malware? The detective held up evidence bags. That's new charges on top of bail violation. As they cuffed him again, Walter's mask finally shattered completely. You stupid bitch, he screamed at me. I offered you money, more than you'll ever save with your pathetic nurse salary. Actually, I said, my pathetic nurse salary bought my freedom, and yours? It just bought you extra years in prison. They dragged him out, still cursing. Patricia stood frozen, pie server in hand. I'm sorry, Mom told her. We had to be sure he'd really changed. He hasn't, Patricia whispered. Has he? No, I said gently. And he never will. Outside, Tom Rodriguez handed me a memory card. Got everything? The bribe offer, the USB handoff, the confession about hidden accounts. Your wire recording plus mine should seal it. Mom and I sat in my car, processing what had just happened. He really thought we'd fall for it, she said wonderingly. After everything, he thought we were that stupid. Not stupid, I corrected. Controllable. He never saw us as people. Just things to manipulate. My phone buzzed. Lisa texting. Judge issued bench warrant. Bail revoked. He's not getting out again before trial. I showed Mom the message. She smiled, then laughed. The first real laugh I'd heard from her in years. You know what? I want ice cream. Real ice cream. Not sugar-free diet nonsense. My money. My choice. As we drove toward downtown Riverbend, I thought about the 40,800 still safe in my account. Still growing. Still waiting for that house with my own front door. But first, ice cream with my mother, in a car Walter couldn't track, paid for with money he couldn't touch, going home to a house he couldn't enter. The ultimate revenge wasn't just the arrest or the trial or the prison time waiting for Walter Pike. It was this: 2 women, free and safe, choosing their own futures. The house always wins, and we were finally home. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing your own thoughts and experiences. Your support means everything, and I can't wait to hear what you think.